This is Travis Davis with Point in Time Software. In this video, we're going to be discussing Account Mapper, one of the three main components of Strategy Mapper. As you can see, I'm in Salesforce right here, and I'm going to go ahead and click on an account called Knowledge Lake. We're using the Lightning experience. Strategy Mapper works both in Lightning and in Classic version. As you can see right here, we have another Visual Force page in front of the account, which is optional. And I want to go ahead and I want to start creating my account plan. So I just click on this hyperlink here. It's going to ask me to select a template. Strategy Mapper and Account Mapper can be built on templates. So you can have templates based for maybe a strategic account, an acquisition account, a named account, however you want to be able to structure these, and you can build those templates where there are almost infinite possibilities with what buttons you display, the pages you display, and you'll see here in this plan. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a strategic account. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And what it's going to do is going to bring me into the plan based on the template that I selected. So again, based on the template, I have the buttons. I'll go over all those in a second. I have the different pages or tabs that I can access. So what we're going to do, we're going to start right here on the account details. Again, based on the template, these are the details that I wanted to bring over from the account. These can be standard Salesforce labels, fields, or custom fields that you've created related to an account. We can also bring those in. Here you can see if we have any partners working any opportunities, we'll show those partners and the opportunities that they're working in. Here I've got some sections here. How are we going to win? So these are configurable based on your sales terminology or your taxonomy. Maybe you want to put long-term plan, short-term plan, whatever you want to put here. Again, based on the template, that's what you're going to be able to put in here. They also can be pre-populated with information. So this gives me the ability to give my account owners or the planner some information from the beginning, maybe some, again, lessons learned, the value proposition, or anything that would help them build a better plan and have much greater success in the company or in the account. So I've got here, and I'm going to say that I'm going to be working this. I'm not done. Still working on how we're going to win. And this actually starts the scoring of the plan. Some of the scoring is manual and some is automatic. It depends on what section inside of the plan, and I'll try to highlight those as we move around in the plan. The short-term plan, what are we going to do after the initial sell? I'm going to say I'm going to be working on that. What's the long-term plan? I'm working that. I haven't completed it yet. But I do like my value proposition, so I'm going to say that that's completed. And what you're going to see here, this allows me, when one of these sections are completed, to be able to set a reoccurring task so I can go back and visit this section again to update it on a periodic basis. So I will say, yeah, I do want to set up a reoccurring task. And how often do I want to do it? I want to do it every 6 months. And what it's going to do, it's going to create a task in Salesforce for me to go back and update this particular section. Lessons learned, again, I'm going to be working on that and hopefully be adding some things to it as I'm working in the account. I'm going to go ahead and save the account. I like to save often to ensure that I don't have any data loss. So down here we have the manager comments and the team comments. We firmly believe in allowing the team to have a 360-degree view of a plan. Not just me or you that are creating the plan, but the entire team. I want my manager to comment. I want to know, what gaps am I missing? What do I need to gather in this account based on their experience and knowledge or best practices? And then my team comments. I want to know what all my team thinks of this plan because we're all working it together. I'm not working in a silo. I'm the account manager. I'm the owner. Here it is, and you got to like it. We really want this interaction. And you can route this through these buttons. So I can notify my manager by clicking on here. And if in Salesforce you have the manager in your field in the user object, when I click on this, it'll automatically go to that manager. They'll get a link back into this account. Notify team, I can go ahead and add some email addresses of my team in here and be able to utilize that. and send it to them, and they would get a link, and I want their comments. That's also part of scoring. Also, the scoring is dependent upon what buttons are displayed. For example, Notify Manager, Notify Team, and what tabs you're working in based on the template. Here, I've got my open activities, activity history, and my contacts within the account that are in there. The next section we're going to go into is what we call a checklist. A checklist is dependent upon the template. Some plans will have a checklist, some may not. Again, it's dependent upon the template. Checklist is very good to go through what do I need to do in this account to maintain success, to drive revenue inside of this account. And we do it based on a coloring system, the green, yellow, and red. In addition, you can add coaching to the checklist for the user based on the template. Again, they can change anything that's produced by the template for text, for example. The user can change that. It won't affect the template for anybody else, just their particular plan. So I'm going to go ahead, does your product solution bring value to customers? Say, yeah, you know what? It does bring value. So I'm going to go ahead and make this green. Now, some of these checklists can be considered what's a gate. That's an important checklist item that really should be completed green or at least yellow before you move on. Because if it's red, then that's really going to hamper me in the ability to drive this customer to success. I'm going to go ahead and save this in this plan. And what you're going to notice now, because this is a gate, this is red. So it focuses my attention on this particular aspect of the plan. Let's say I haven't, looked at this plan in a couple weeks or a month or whatever. I can go back into it. I go, oh, I got something red. Why is that red? And I'll notice this right here. So that's what that does. The next is the customer buying process. It's important to understand what the customer buying process is so you can match it up to your sales process or your stages of an opportunity within an account. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to fill in this customer buying process. I just have to click New right here, and you'll see that this is all drop down. You don't have to type anything. Drop downs are configured based on your organization. So I'm going to go ahead, they identify the problem. I'm going to say they review their options. I know quite a bit about this customer already because I have worked with them before. Reviewed their options. They narrowed down their possibilities. They bring in the 3 vendors. Again, very, very easy to do with this. They do the initial demonstration. Follow up maybe to a larger group. We know we're getting narrowed down here. And they pilot, trial the vendor, and of course, then they sign the contracts. Which would be the last one here in the list. And I'm going to say I have completed this, and this is actually some scoring. But even if we go a little bit further, we want to know who at the customer is responsible for this particular process. So I can go in here and I can say, I know based on the conversation, who is responsible. Let's say David Jones is responsible for most of this because he's the one I've been working with and gives me a lot of great information regarding, what's going on inside this account. I'll put Betty in here. Betty's pretty important. She starts narrowing down everything. Now, it's kind of critical here is when you create a customer buying process at the account level, anytime you create an opportunity plan using Opportunity Mapper, we will go ahead and bring this customer buying process into that plan. It's now called the customer selection process, and we'll also bring over who is responsible for that particular process within that selection process. I can even add, if I say, I need to add something at the 5th or 6th position here, I'm going to go say, I forgot one of them. I'm going to add it to 5th. I type the number 5, and I go ahead and it brings me to the number 5th position. I can add one. That way I don't have to redo my entire process. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that real quick. So now I've completed my buying process. The next, customer initiatives. This is pretty important. These are the conversations that you're having with your customer and hopefully building pipeline from those simple conversations of what are you going to be doing in the next 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, 1 year. Because I'm trying to build my pipeline. I'm trying to really build that trust and that I'm really interested in what they're going to be doing in the future because I want to maintain that relationship with this customer. So I'm going to say I've got a new initiative and they need to, for example, look at a strategic account program. I can put some additional information here. New team members need to plan. I can put the time frame. When are they going to do it right here? I'm going to say it's going to be Q3 of this current fiscal year. Now, what I can do here also is I can create a milestone. So maybe I want to follow up with this at another time. I can create a milestone and then schedule that and become a task in Salesforce for me to do later. Or I can even create an opportunity right now. So once I save this initiative, I can create an opportunity for this account. So now I'm building my pipeline as I'm building, just having my conversations with the customer. And again, if you have any required fields, we'll go ahead and publish them and you'll have to fill them out. So I can create a new opportunity here. I'm going to call it for KL, close date. I'm going to put end of August. You don't know the amount yet, stage, we're just prospecting. Type is, new customer, existing business, whatever you may have here. I'm going to put new business. And I'm going to put the lead source as a customer initiative. So now what you're able to do, we track how leads are. I mean, that's just how do we get these leads. So now you can track it based on customer initiative. You can see over time how you're starting to build pipeline by simply asking the question, what are you going to be doing in the future? And you can do those analytics on where that lead came from. I'm going to go ahead and save it. So now this has become a lead or an opportunity in this account. So I'm hopefully managing it all right from here. This is scored automatically. So when this is completed, this starts taking away from the score that we have right now. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, now I want to do an account milestone. And I'm going to create a new milestone. Milestones are something that you want to do every so often with an account. For example, I want to go ahead, schedule an executive briefing. But I'm not the one who schedules the briefings. There's somebody else that schedules the briefings. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose Mike Williams here to schedule the briefing. I can put some information in here. At our EBC. I can put the due date. When do I want that done? Now it's kind of important when it's done because since I created the milestone and I assigned it to you, when that milestone is completed by you, I will get notified. If the milestone is over the due date, I'll also get notified so I can reach back out and say, hey, Mike, please schedule this executive briefing. And I also want to send me a email notification that it was created, or Mike will get the email notification that was created, and it'll set up a task in Salesforce for him. You can have as many customer initiatives as you want, and this is also scored automatically. And I'm going to go ahead and save this. The next what we have are red flags. I look at red flags two different ways. One from the account executive who I've identified things that can, maybe slip revenue or have issues within this account that I need to be able to be aware of and make my manager aware of it. So one of them I've identified is their legal process takes a pretty long time. So now I need to go ahead and create a mitigation plan for that. What am I going to do? I'm going to start early in the opportunities. Right? So now I'm building my mitigation plan. This is scored automatically also, so you don't have to worry about this status right here. Again, from my perspective as the account executive, I've identified something. From my a manager's perspective, when I'm reviewing this account plan, I'm the devil's advocate. Have you thought of this? What happens if the buyer is on vacation the last 2 weeks of the quarter? Who is going to sign the contracts and the check? Because you don't want revenue slipping because somebody's on vacation. So now I'm projecting in as an account or the sales manager to help my team ensure that all the bases are covered within an account. The next we'll go into our notes. These are notes just taken about the account in general. I didn't have a meeting with anybody. I just have a quick call with the customer. Maybe got some good information. David and all going well. And then I can timestamp it today, or maybe I had the call yesterday. So now I timestamp it for yesterday. This becomes activity history in the account. I'm going to go ahead and save it. You'll see here that we have more, and this is dependent upon really what has been done. These really you can't manipulate. These are really updated from having meetings with your customers. Our Meeting Mapper app with Strategy Mapper updates your plans with rich sales intelligence, and I'll show you that. So I've got a meeting here. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. This is the last meeting that I had with the customer. Yellow flag. Once we do the Meeting Mapper, we have another video on that you can see this yellow flag indicates basically that there's somebody at a certain role and stance that can hurt me inside of this account, and I need to figure out, how to get around them or how to shift them in my direction. So I've got some notes right here that I took in the meeting, both public and internal notes. I've got some actionable intelligence, the decisions coming out of the meeting, and the actions that we all agreed upon. Competitors that I've identified, some pain points that I've identified. I've also identified one of our strengths, but I also identified an obstacle. So now, how am I going to remove that obstacle? Here's my plan. Maybe is we'll look at some finance options. Right? So I'm trying to think ahead what can happen. We get an opportunity, they don't have budget, we have financing, figure out something. So now I'm building this out. Now, one of the powerful aspects of Strategy Mapper in general is the ability that if somebody left your organization that was working a very strategic account, had some good opportunities going that we're going to close maybe at the end of this quarter, and now that person left, what normally happens is you pull it, you slip the revenue, competition comes in or something, or you have to close it, right? With Strategy Mapper, you're really able to go ahead and take this account over with the same level of information that person had that just left, from not only the intelligence gathering, but what was their plan to mitigate, overcome, and remove obstacles and things like that. So you have the same likelihood of closing this account or revenue and the opportunity as that person who just left. We call it disaster recovery for sales. Here's some things I haven't identified yet. So I'm going to go ahead. This just, my meeting here. I'm going to go ahead and save it. The next, you're going to see that I've got my customer team. Who have I met with? Met with using our Meeting Mapper app. I've had an interaction with them, and this is their stance and their role right here. My account team, who from my organization has been involved in the account, from sales executive, system engineer, sales engineer, marketing, product management, and I can see who all has been in the meetings and been involved in this account. And then I've got charts. There's not a lot of data here because this is a new account, but if there's any previous revenue, then we'd be able to pull that in very quickly. So I'm going to go back in here. We can also, if you use Salesforce Service Cloud and you have used case management in that, and you create a case for this account, we will also produce another page for cases where you can review the cases that are particular to this account. Also, if you have custom data that you want to bring into the plan, for example, use TaskRay or another vendor, we're able to pull that in and be able to have that as part of your plan. So again, very configurable, infinite possibilities really with Strategy Mapper in general and Account Mapper and Meeting Mapper and Opportunity Mapper. So that's really these different pages or tabs. Now, we've already discussed a couple of these. Well, this one, I go back into the account in Salesforce. Here's my action plan. Now, Strategy Mapper is 100% native Salesforce. All your data resides in Salesforce. Whenever you do anything in Strategy Mapper, it will update Salesforce in real time. But one thing I want to do is I want to create an action plan. I want to know, what do I need to do as to get this customer success, right? So I'm going to click on Action Plan. And again, it's very dynamic. It tells me I got 33% of my checklist completed, but it's red. And what is red? What milestones are still open? What red flags? If you did not have a mitigation plan, this would be red to indicate that I need to create a mitigation plan. What top 10 opportunities do I have? Who are my key players in the account? If you haven't identified these people, like the buyer, this would be listed here. You haven't identified the buyer. What obstacles have I encountered? And what is my mitigation plan? And what open activities? This is a very quick read to help you just go out and do what you have to do to be able to drive success within this account. So that is the account action plan. And it's updated by the meetings that you're having with your customers and what you're putting in your plan. The next is the account playbook. This is a very detailed report of this particular account. So, the playbook as of when, how many opportunities are open, they're a customer, I own the account, who else has been involved in this account, what's the description, what's my revenue potential within this account, what's my pipeline, what I've won, what I've lost, what's my delta, what are the opportunities. If in red, that means it slipped. What's my account plan? This is 0, so it's telling me what do I need to do to be able to really increase the score right here. I've got Mike and Donald. They both have yellow flags, and they're in a role that can hurt me. I need to complete these things. I need to engage the customer to identify these particular things. So this is that sales intelligence. I got my checklist, my buying process, how are we going to win based on my plan, the milestones, the initiatives, the red flags, the notes, actionable intelligence, decisions. All this information is right in this plan. So I could take this with me and have a very good conversation with the customer. I could give this to my manager who has never met the account but is having a meeting with me, and they would understand exactly what's going on inside this account. It's a very quick and easy read to understand what is happening in this account. So I'm going to go back into here. Close that. The next is we have the account score. So the account score takes into really multiple factors. This here is the overall account health. That takes into account my plan score, the sales intelligence that I'm gathering in my meetings, and all the opportunities that I have in this account and their score if I use Opportunity Mapper to build the plan out. That affects this right here. So I could see that, my account score is low, but I got some good intelligence. My opportunity score, either I haven't started an opportunity with Opportunity Mapper or I'm not doing very well in those. You can see here how this is scored. A 1, weighted 1 by default. However, you can change the weight of any of these based on what you believe is more important than others. Another thing that impacts the overall score are those red and yellow flags, because we know that if somebody's against what you're trying to sell or what you're trying to do for them, that could negatively impact you within an account. It works the same in the opportunity also. But again, based on what you select in the template is how we really score this, and a lot of this is automatic, simply based on what you're doing within that account. So basically that is Account Mapper. Again, it's based on templates. You have as many templates as you want. It's 100% native Salesforce, so it allows you to update Salesforce very quickly. Configurable based on your sales methodology or your sales process. So if you have any questions or would like a demo, please visit pointntime.com or email sales@point, POINT, letter N, TIME, time.com. I look forward to talking to each and every one of you. Have a great day, and thank you very much.